wenn ich denke, dass sie ist. Ist vom Ziehen?
Ja, es kann sein, dass du den Ziehabzug gehst, dass du ein bisschen so ziehst. Probier mal, du mal den
Hello and welcome to the workshop for a little show and tell edition. Now I bet that most of you who are watching have at least one gun that you just like, and perhaps irrationally so. It may not be expensive, have zero historical value, may not look nice, may not even be that accurate, but you just like it and it has nothing to do with the rest of your collection. Most of us have a theme, whether it's a particular action, country, historical period, that kind of thing. And for me, that gun is the TT33. There's just something about them. I find them really comfortable to shoot. The features are great. From an engineering perspective, it's very interesting. And I did a video ages ago with an actual TT33 called Silk Purse Sow's Ear. A little reference bloke put in to the fact that perhaps sometimes why not attempt to polish a turd? And so that was an original 1930s build, and I didn't want to do too much to it. There's millions of them out there, but it's still a historical item. Now, this one is a Zastava current production M57A, and so I can do all sorts of horrible things to it with no guilt whatsoever. I've posted a couple of teasers on Instagram, and I thought maybe I could just do a quick vid showing you the features of it and what I've done to it so far. Alright, here it is up close. Now there are a couple of mechanical differences to a genuine TT33 apart from simply having an extra round. We'll talk about those as we go over the pistol. And in terms of things I've added, we have of course the ergonomic rubber grip, we have the new rear sight, front sight, compensator, and I have modified the retainer clip for the slide stop retainer pin. Now the obvious thing you can see that is new is the safety. This is part of the current Zastava design, and it is a retrofit in terms of they haven't altered the dimensions of the slide. So here we see the detent is rather close to the surface, but it is not going to fly out. So, and it is also a genuine safety, not just a hammer block preventing the hammer from striking the firing pin. It is also locking out the trigger. So it does that. You'll see when I take the slide off that the tumbler element in here has a little surface that pushes down on the disconnector, which also doesn't permit the sear bar from pushing on the sear in the lock. So very, very simple adaptation, and you get both functions and have a genuine safety. So let us start with the retainer clip. Now, in terms of production engineering, this I think is extremely interesting. It is simplicity itself. It's just a piece of stamped spring steel, heat treated, and you can produce millions of these, and if they break, it doesn't matter. You have many, many more. And it has two functions. Firstly, it retains the slide stop axis pin, of course, but it also has two pinching surfaces here at the front, which pinch two flats on the end of the axis pin, and that forces the slide stop down, so that obviously it will only slide back, lock back the slide when there is a magazine present. So it's a very clever way of doing this. There's no coil springs inside and all that nonsense. Now the problem is that they are an absolute pain to slide in and out of their functioning position. There's only this little tab here at the end, it's bent upwards, and you're guaranteed to ruin the finish in that area of your gun if you use a screwdriver or if you use the toe of a magazine, and it's going to ruin your manicure as well. So I really like my fingernails, I use them a lot for tinkering, so I thought that I would improve that function of it. So what I've done, if I just take it off, what you can see here that there is a tab and a nice smooth surface over the top. It also, despite its function, frankly, it looks horrible on the side of the gun. Even though it's clearly not an afterthought, it does look like one. So yes, I've made it look nice, but also be a little more ergonomic. So I can just put my fingers here and push it back nice and easily. And when I'm done, I can just push it forward. Now, all this is, effectively, is a little cover that I have put over the existing clip. So the original one I have reduced, I've thinned it down a little bit and soldered it on the rear part here, soldered it to a piece of mild steel. I've milled a slot, a T-slot as well for the studs. And the rest I have shaped to my own design. I made it up as I went along, so please don't ask for any drawings. I have just done it so that it pleases me. I made this surface here nice and smooth because that's where my thumb goes as a lefty. So I've got a nice resting surface for it there. And yeah, I just smoothed it down, polished it to a fine shine, and then cold blued it. Alright, let's talk about the rear sight. This is a commercial item made by Miniature Machine Company in the US. They have all sorts of rear sight designs available for pistols which are traditionally fixed sight. You just need to have the dovetail slot. The dovetail slot is perfect for my pistol, so it should also be fitting for the Tokarev. It's meant for TT33. I didn't need to make any modifications. I just drifted it in carefully. And so it works by having the sight notch on this little disc, which is threaded, and you turn it 180 clockwise or anti-clockwise to drift the sight up and down. And of course you can drift the sight left and right. There is a grub screw here which you can use to lock down the rear sight, and here this silver thing is a little push button which locks the position of the sight disc. Now, one difference is that the sight notch is much wider than the original sight, which means that the original front sight is lost in this cavernous U-notch. So to go around that problem, I'd made myself a new fat rear sight. You can see it's much wider than the original. So that was just lots of filing and careful milling, and then again cold blued. Alright, let's talk about the comp. So we'll just disassemble it. Right, so disassembly is just like a normal TOC, but what they've done is that they have a guide rod. And this would be difficult to get out normally, except the guide rod actually has a linkage in it. It's two-part, so you can get round the corner, because this, of course, is preventing the guide rod from coming out. Then disassembly is the same as a normal TOC. Turn the plug out, and the barrel comes out the front. Interesting to note that it is a two-part barrel. If you can see the seam, nothing wrong with that as long as it's done properly. You also note that the machining of the locking grooves is, well, from a machinist's point of view, abysmal. The tool was utterly ragged, and probably also the speed was wrong. Anyway, all I need is remove material. It's not precision. Precision work and fine finishing is not required. So this is another commercial item. I can't remember where I got it. It fits perfectly into the slots in the slide. One note, the that goes with these is that these are not made for the new Zastava models because the barrel is actually a bit fatter. Now, if you have a lathe or a friend with one, that's not a problem. You can just chuck this in the chuck, center it, and slightly bore out the internal diameter. It's sort of halfway in there, and then it functions. I had to do this. Now, whether it gives any actual appreciable compensation, I really couldn't tell myself, but it looks damn cool. So a little close-up of the safety. Note there is a little recess here which allows the disconnector, which is this little stud here, that allows it to poke upwards when in the live position, and the firing pin can be pressed on like that. When the safety is engaged, the firing pin there is blocked off, and the recess has gone, and you have this round surface here which pushes down on the disconnector, and then also locking out the sear bar from the sear. Alright, and then the lock is absolutely standard. I'm not aware that there are any differences with the TT33. As I said, this is just my fun gun, I don't care. And the only other modification I've done is slightly bent the trigger bar spring, which you can see there in the bottom. It literally is just a flat spring, and you can just bend it to reduce the trigger weight a little bit. And then we come to the grips. Now these I got online. Just look for Tokarev TT33, or no, better, the M57 rubber grips, and you'll find these in various sources. Be aware there are some models that are with the cutout for the safety or not. If you have an original TOC, it'll be slightly too long, and that's what I did in the original video. I shortened the grip. But otherwise, yeah, the originals will not have the safety, obviously, so they don't have this cutout, so make sure you get the right one. And yeah, this basically makes the whole shooting experience far more enjoyable. Even with hot surplus, you can shoot this all day. Ambidextrous, of course, which is nice. Alright, there it is reassembled. Now, although I have no intention of running this in any competitions whatsoever, it's nice to have the right gear just in case. And this is all Battle Gnome Solutions stuff. I have a left-handed holster, which was very nicely produced by them after Ian and I pestered them. Ian's already run it in one of his bug matches, and it fits really well, like a glove, even with the new grips. The only modification I had to do was due to my fancy retainer clip here. It sticks out more than the original, obviously, so I needed to cut out the rear panel. But since this is a left-handed holster, that is nicely concealed, so once it works in the lefty favour. And they also provide these generic single stack magazine retainers, which are pretty awesome. You can adjust the tilt position and also the retainer tension. So good stuff. I hope you enjoyed looking at my little range toy. I think the only cooler thing would be to have two, but John Wick I ain't. Maybe it'll inspire you to tinker with your TT or M57. It just leaves me to thank you all for your support, whatever platform you wish to follow us on, and we'll see you very soon in the workshop or out on the range. Bye.